Welcome to the Ice Project. Welcome to the Ice Project.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Ice Project. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'm joined by co-founder and director of Click Management, host of the Watch Time podcast and fucking female boss, Grace Watkins. What's up?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You like that intro?
I like it. I could get used to that.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to thank you for your time and I'm a big Gary Vee fan. He's been talking about esports for a long time. And Lukey sort of pays attention to everything going on. Your name sort of popped up. And then once I've seen it, I just keep seeing it everywhere. So I'm really looking forward to this podcast. So thanks for coming on.
Me too.
So introduce yourself. Obviously, we know your name, age. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Grace Watkins. I'm 28. I run Click Management. Click Management is like our digital media and talent management company. So we represent a number of the top digital gamers on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and then we create a bunch of digital content ourselves as well for YouTube and podcasts and all that. So that's like my bread and butter. That's what I get excited about all the time. And yeah.
It's a super interesting story, but a lot of people listen to, or my demographic wouldn't even know what like esports or that type of stuff is. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, gaming for me, I get super excited about it. I actually didn't grow up a gamer myself. My brother was super into it, and that's how I was really got my baptism of fire into the industry. And but gaming for me, what I find really exciting about it is it's just like the next big entertainment industry, I think. And I think a lot of people have in their minds this preconception of gaming being like teenage boys like in their basement in a dark room like playing Call of Duty or something like that. And that obviously exists, but to me it's also this like huge entertainment industry that's just growing so fast, and there are so many people that are gamers, athletes, movie stars, everyone. And what we do is we really represent the entertainment side of that industry. So just like people are uploading like vlogs or podcasts or whatever onto YouTube, people are uploading gaming content every day. So they're recording themselves playing games, and it's not even necessarily in a competitive sense. Generally, it's like a super entertaining way that they're creating content, whether that be like challenges or they're funny or whatever. And they're developing these really massive audiences basically that are coming back for more every single day. And I think it's like the next big entertainment genre, like of our generation. It's already revenues.
It's already huge.
Yeah, bigger than music and movies combined last year. It's growing super.
Is that in
rapidly.
terms of attention or money?
Revenues.
Revenue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So bigger than what? Sorry, movies and
music combined.
Yeah, well, that's a lot to take in, isn't it?
Yeah.
I started seeing some data. We're seeing one on 1:37 p.m. last week about the growth of it. And also, I remember a couple of years ago, I think someone won like $3 million playing Fortnite. And all the sports people were going, oh, well, why don't you just go play a real sport? And I was like, what the fuck? I'd rather be doing that as well. So what does the average day for a streamer look like?
Well, for the average creator or streamer, it's a lot of time in front of the computer, I would say. For most of them, I think it's a real misconception that people are just like, oh, you have the dream jobs, like you play video games for a living. And it definitely is that, but there's a huge amount more work that goes into it beyond that. For most of the creators I know, a huge amount of time goes into like the ideation process. Obviously, creating content online is, I think, like the biggest democracy ever. It's like if you're creating good stuff, you will find an audience and you'll be rewarded for it. But it's super competitive. Everyone's creating content these days. And so to come up with good ideas that are either like entertaining or educational or providing value in some way to an audience is like the number one thing you need to work out how to succeed. So the top creators I know spend a great deal of time thinking about like what are they actually going to make. Then there's the process of actually making it, and then the editing process is also super important. So
100%.
Yeah, and the way that videos and content is edited is like 100% like probably the most underrated key for success, I think.
Takes time though, doesn't it? So some of those ideas that they come up with, are they sort of just bouncing off, let's say like, I'm just going to say an example, like TikTok challenges, or is it better to come up with something original, or you just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks? What's the process?
I think there's like little bits of a formula now. People know kind of like what works and what resonates with an audience, but you you have to constantly be iterating because it's so competitive and it's moving so quickly. And like, you know, TikTok, I feel like no one was even talking about TikTok a year and a half ago. And now it's like one of the most important content platforms in the world. And so, yeah, I think it's like a constant iteration, and you can't stick on, you know, what works now won't work in a month or two from now.
Yeah, it moves quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. How did you get into this?
So I got into it through my brother. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I was on a completely different path with my career. I studied commerce law at uni, thought I was going to do like the traditional kind of climb the corporate ladder thing. And I was actually really excited about that. I was working at PwC, which is like a big professional services firm. And I was actually really enjoying it. But I think there was something also part of me that was like craving a little bit more and being able to take control of my own career. And my brother was actually a YouTuber. He was doing gaming content. And I think I looked at him and I could see how motivated he was about what he was doing. And it was like, it didn't matter what time of the day it was. He was constantly wanting to be working on it, constantly wanting to be, you know, like improving and iterating and that sort of thing. And you could tell that it was like he really felt the personal gain that came from when he improved there. And I think in the corporate life, I was probably feeling like it was a little bit too structured, and it was difficult to like really jump ahead or feel like you could take control of everything you were doing in that way. So we started Click on the side as like a little side hustle project. And yeah, that's what I thought it would be. I thought, oh, this will look good on my resume when I'm going for like my next corporate job or whatever. And it just completely like spun into something much, much bigger than that. I fell in love with it immediately and was like, this is 100% what I want to focus my time on. And when we were in a position where I felt like financially we could do that, I kind of made the leap and haven't really looked back.
From idea to execution, how long did it take you to take the leap from leaving accounting?
About 1.5 years, probably. My accounting job was actually super supportive. They let me work part-time, and I think they could tell the value of me like developing an interesting skill set in a growing industry. So they were super supportive, but to actually make the leap, I think, it was about 1.5 years.
How was the startup phase?
It was good. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I was actually talking with someone about this the other day, about how, you know, we've had Click for almost 4 years now. And the way that it's changed over that 4 years has been really interesting. I think when we started, it was like such a, you know, it wasn't something I was necessarily taking super seriously. It wasn't something where I was like, this is going to be my career and I have to make this the most incredible thing it can possibly be. It was sort of such a net gain, and it was almost like, it was just so fun at the start, and I loved it so much that I was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. Like, I can never complain about this. And then I think when I quit my job, actually, it kind of came with a whole lot more weight. I quit my job and we took on some massive projects and we hired a bunch of people, and suddenly I was feeling like a lot of weight around the pressure and how many people I was feeling like responsible for, or that I, you know, owed things to. And it was this pressure of like, well, you have to make this work. Like, this has to grow. It has to do better, blah, 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 blah. And for a while there, I think I like lost the spark in it. Like, I lost a little bit of the joy in it because I felt like it was work and it was hard. And it, you know, it went through that kind of like toddler phase of a business, I think, where it was like you're trying to grow and it's working, but it's like there's a lot going on. And then I think in the last year, I've really tried to like take a step back and remember, you know, you have to like really enjoy the process of what you're doing every day. And now I think I'm in a much healthier mentality. You know, a year ago I was pretty burnt out.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I listened to a podcast and you said you had sort of imposter syndrome and sort of talked about that. Is that sort of what you went through there? And do you want to explain that on a sort of a deeper level? Because obviously when you start to hire staff, and obviously we've got a little bit smaller staff, but you start to feel that like, should I be here type of vibe?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that's still something I struggle with every day. And you get a little bit better at being able to talk your way out of it. But I think especially for me, coming from a corporate environment where I was pretty junior and I was at a big company that had a lot of support system, and you're getting constant feedback, people, you know, that are there for you when you need a hand with something. People will like give you a pat on the back when you've done a good job and be able to coach you through something when you're having a tough time with it. To then doing your own thing, you are like so on your own. And like there's no one that's there that's going to pat you on the back when you've had a hard day and say like, good job, you did it. And there's definitely people that will tell you when you've done the wrong thing. And so I think and that's just part of it. Like, you know, you'll make mistakes and you'll do good things. And I think it was a bit of a journey, especially because like I've never done this before. I've still never done this before. Like every day when we hire someone new or we take on a new project, it's like I've never run a company that does that before. And I couldn't have because of, you know, the
didn't really
it's
exist.
a new thing.
Yeah.
It didn't exist and I'm only 28. So it's kind of being able to, I think, take a step back and be like, that's okay. And for me, it's like embracing my lack of experience or my naivety in a way as a strength. And I think that was the advice someone gave me when I first started. They were like, the fact that you've never done this before is such a strength because you don't have any preconceptions about the way things should be or the way things like how the path should go, and you're more willing to challenge the status quo and just give things a go because you know, you don't have any prior experience to tell you that you shouldn't be able to do that. So now I really try to take that on as a strength and
it's almost like ignorance is bliss. I remember because when I come into this clothing thing, I didn't really know what I was doing as well. And when I look back now and people go, oh, how do I get into this? I'm like, probably don't do it.
Also, the more you're in the industry and the more you go on, the more you realize like actually no one really knows what they're doing. Like I think that's adulthood.
I'm like 32. I don't know what I'm doing.
Everyone's kind of doing this thing for the first time, working it out as they go. And I think it's the people that are able to just be in a positive mindset with that and be in like a learning mindset and be like, yep, I'm just going to take this on and you know, try and learn as much as I can and do the best I can. Like you'll work it out. You just will.
So you get your first client. Is that your brother, or you guys co-directors? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's part of the business as well, but he's obviously like one of our biggest clients.
What does he play? What games does he play?
Right now, he plays Fortnite. That's his main game. So Fortnite, obviously, I don't know. It's hard to not know Fortnite. I think if you're like, it's become such a pop culture thing in the last couple of years. But I think Fortnite was one of the games that really catapulted gaming from being considered kind of niche to being considered super mainstream. And, you know, you saw like Drake playing with Ninja like a couple of years ago.
And then that Travis Scott collab during thing, that was huge. It was so cool to watch too.
Marshmallows, like a huge part of the Fortnite culture now. And I think, I think that's the game that's really like taken it mainstream.
So initially when you start, when they start streaming, is it just trying to get ad rev from YouTube, or are you looking for brand deals straight away? In those first couple of years, was it hard to get brand deals? Talking about like, this kid's playing PlayStation. Like,
I mean, it's really interesting. So for a creator, when they start out, their main monetization method is through ad revenue on YouTube and Twitch. Obviously, like when you go onto YouTube and you see an ad, that ad's been placed there by the creator and YouTube shares in the revenue with the creator.
What is the rev share on those?
45-55, or like about 55-55 in favor of the creator.
Okay.
Yeah. And that generally works out to like a CPM or like a cost per 1,000 views, basically. So which might range anywhere from like a couple dollars to $10 or $15, depending on the kind of content that you create. If it's like super family friendly and like kid friendly and advertiser friendly, the CPM will be much higher than if you're like creating lots of like vulgar content and that sort of thing. So that's 100% the main focus, and it should be, I think, for all creators when they're starting out. It's like you don't need to be worrying about like brand deals and sponsorships and that sort of thing. Like just focus on growing your audience and creating content that is good. And when you're creating content that is good, you'll build an audience, and then you can think about other methods of monetization and that sort of thing. We generally work with creators that already have quite established audiences. And so that's like a criteria for me that I look at when I'm signing talent is I'm like, are they going to be good advocates for brands? Are they going to be able to work with sponsors in a way that like conveys their messaging positively? And now a huge part of our business model is working with brands and sponsors and that sort of thing to help them design campaigns that they could do with our creators.
What type of brands were sort of at the forefront, say 2017, 18, probably a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of marketing and advertising? What types of brands were they that you were dealing with first?
So first, I think it was a lot of endemic brands to the gaming space. So a lot of like headset brands or mic brands or PC companies, that sort of thing. And then you would see like some more, tech brands, like HP was one of the companies I remember we did like our first big campaign with, which I was super excited about. And then a lot of those like digital kind of drop shipping brands, like a Dollar Shave Club or something like that. I remember we did like a big campaign with them in our first year. I was super excited about it. Now it's just become so much more mainstream. And over the last couple of years, we've done campaigns with like KFC. We do a lot with like music labels and that sort of thing now. We do a lot with like, I don't know, fashion brands, so retail, like literally anything now.
So say like a music brand, do they just sort of play the music in the background while they're sort of streaming, or are they talking about the album or what?
They might be talking about the album or they'll be promoting like an artist that's dropped a new song. Yeah, it can be anything.
What type of CPMs would they be rolling off with those types of brand deals? Is that rolled off the back of YouTube views as well, or are they also organised?
It's not always based on a CPM basis. That kind of thing is designed more around a bigger campaign where we'd probably be working on like a flat fee, or there might be like view bonuses or that sort of thing. But CPMs are much, much higher when you're working direct with a brand. Yeah,
that's crazy. So obviously you get your first sort of client. How long does it start to scale out to your second, third, fourth? Was it moving pretty quickly?
It was moving pretty quickly. In the first 6 months, I think we had the goal to sign 7 talent, which we did. And I think having Elliot on board was like my brother was a really critical part of that because he had such great relationships in the industry already. And our other business partner, Emma, also had existing relationships that was really great and a bit of a track record. And then as soon as I quit my job, that's when we really like scaled quite quickly and grew the roster quite a bit, and we started our first content house. So I don't know if you're like familiar with the concept of a content house.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. So I mean, content houses are not a totally new concept, and it's something that we'd seen a lot in the US, where basically people would put a bunch of creators into a house together, literally a house together, and have it basically as a space where they can be collaborating all the time and creating content, and that you might create content like around the house and the people in it itself, kind of like a modern day reality TV show, I think. And so that's what we did. We were so far in over our heads. And I think that's kind of one of the moments where I was like, yep, definitely embrace the naivety. Because if I'd known how challenging that would be, I probably would have like gone back and told myself, are you sure you can afford that? Like, are you sure you really want to get into this? That sort of thing. Like, you've never done this before. But we did. We rented this insane house in Darling Point in Sydney, spending, way too much on rent, and put 6 of the biggest Fortnite creators in it. And we created a YouTube video channel, which we made weekly content on. It was the fastest growing YouTube channel in Australia in 2018, and we only started in September. So, it was amazing. Besides
monetary problems, what were some of the other issues with that house?
It was just like so much people management, and we'd never created a channel before or were managing talent in that super involved way. And I think it's like a lot of big personalities and that sort of thing. And just a lot of stakeholder management.
What type of shows were you guys making? Just sort of documenting the journey, or bit of everything?
We were doing like weekly challenge videos. So they were like 10-minute YouTube content, very like classic YouTube content, like lots of challenges and pranks and those sort of videos. And it appealed to like a pretty predominantly like male, quite young teenage audience, and it just really resonated, and I think people loved it.
I was surprised how big some of the followings are in terms of like YouTube and obviously Instagram. Obviously, I've just started paying attention a lot more to this world, but it's crazy sort of numbers that they're doing there.
The engagement that I see on gaming creators is off the charts compared to any other genre. Like a lot of other genres of creators that I see, the engagement is like 2 to 4%. For a lot of the gamers I represent, it's like 20 to 25%.
That's crazy. We need to get into gaming, Lukey.
Yeah, I think it'll work for you guys.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I was thinking about turning the other office into a little Twitch studio as well.
Do it, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know if anyone can game Our advice. No, you can't.
That's a good component. Yeah.
So we'll talk about different platforms: Twitch, YouTube, podcasting. Are they all important, or do you favour one over the other, or what?
They're all super important. For me, I think YouTube is like the number one platform at the moment for video content. I just think that's where the biggest audiences are. I think it's like the biggest democracy of content, and I think having a VOD presence is really important. And I think also when I'm thinking about like creating sustainable careers for creators, I think YouTube's a really great way to do that. Streaming is obviously super time intensive, and you really need to like be on, or you're not earning money. Whereas YouTube, if you can create long-term evergreen content, that's going to continue to, provide you revenue on an ongoing basis.
Twitch
is amazing. I think Twitch is like super just integral to the gaming community. And yeah, I work with heaps of creators that that's their main form of income.
So you get a talent come in. Is this like, this is what you got to do here? I need you to be on YouTube creating vlog content. I need you streaming on here. I need you on TikTok. Or do you guys manage that for them, or what?
So when we work with creators, it's really a creator first strategy. At the end of the day, the creators are the ones making content. They need to be the ones that understand their audience and understand how to create content that resonates with them. We really try to help them shape their careers. So a lot of the time it's bringing structure in around like, okay, if you're on Twitch, how can we be turning some of that content into YouTube content, setting you up with an editor and building a little team around you and thinking about your thumbnail strategy and that sort of thing. And then obviously like the diversification of revenue is a lot of the reason talent want to take on management and think about like how they can increase, either their sponsorships or platform deals, that sort of thing.
How important is thumbnails?
Oh my God, the most important. That's
Really?
like the one thing you have to like grab someone. I think you could be creating the best YouTube content in the world, but if you've got a shitty thumbnail, no one's going to click on it. It's absolutely critical for success. Like for me, when I think about good performing YouTube content, the number one thing is, your click-through rate on your thumbnail. So when someone's shown your thumbnail on YouTube, how many people are clicking on it, and then your average view duration. So when someone clicks on your video, how long are they watching it for? Are they engaged with the content? Because
what's a good number on that? What's a good number on that? Obviously 100% will be the dream.
For a click-through rate, if you're above 10%, I think that's really good. If you're hitting like 15, 20%, that's great. For an average view duration, if you're getting up to like 60 or 70%, that's amazing. Like you'd definitely be trying to aim for over 50%. So you don't just want to have a great title and thumbnail that grabs people, because you don't want to clickbait people and then have them click on the video and it actually not be what they thought they were going to get from the title and thumbnail. That will kill your average view duration, which obviously is going to not do well for the performance of a video. So I think the idea is to make sure that the idea of the video is really great and you've got something that you can convey in a really great title and thumbnail as to what that is. It's exciting. It makes people want to click on it and see what the video is. And then immediately when they click on the video, they feel like they're getting served what they wanted to see.
So when you get a sort of talent, what's the diversification of revenue streams? Obviously ad rev, obviously you're going to talk about a little bit of merch as well. What's the balance there?
Yeah, so I would say the most dominant form of ad rev is what they're making off Twitch and YouTube, probably, or their primary platforms and the ad revenue that they're getting served there. Brand deals, I think, is where we're able to add a lot of value, and for some of the talent that I work with, brand revenue probably makes up like 50% of their total income. And then they might be doing other projects on the side, like merchandise or other products, that sort of thing. Yeah,
that's awesome, mate. Because do you try and get like sort of your bigger talents to move into a business where they own equity in it as well for like long term?
That's something that I really think the industry is trending towards, and it's something I'm really excited about and want to be working more on with my big talent, because I think it's at a point now where there's a lot of brand sponsorships going on, and like all brands know and see the value of working with influencers or creators, whatever you want to call it. And I think for creators, they're often overwhelmed with choice as to how many people they can work with. So for them, I think they are more excited about the idea of getting involved with a brand that they care about, that they can have equity in, and that they care about the long-term performance, and they're not just doing like a 60-second like paid shout out for cash. You know what I mean? And I think for the brands, the rates of what it takes to work with top tier talent now is getting really high. And so for them, I think if they're able, a lot of startups might not be able to have the cash flow to afford that. So if they're able to form like a meaningful relationship with a creator, then they've suddenly got this inbuilt marketing and distribution machine that they're able to work with. And it can be a super mutually beneficial arrangement, I think.
All this stuff's so exciting to me.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for you, eh? What's the future?
I could talk about this stuff all day.
Oh,
it's like my thing.
no. So you talked about you're going to start up your own, you've got Watch Time sort of going on at the moment. You starting up your new podcast as well?
Yeah. I mean, I think like when I get so much inspiration like from lots of different places, but I just feel like content's such a massive game right now. And, I look at like a Barstool Sports or like.
They're our biggest motivation.
Yeah, literally. Or like I look at Barstool and like all the content they're creating, and people like Barstool's cool, I guess, but people care about Barstool because they care about the personalities behind it, and they care that they feel like they're part of the journey. You can like see some of the content, and you can see the people that have been like watching their stuff for like 5 or 6 years, and they're engaged with what they're doing. I look at like 100 Thieves, which is more in the gaming space. They're a massive brand out of LA that's doing a heap of different cool stuff. I don't know. I even look at like the Mamma Mia network in Australia, or I look at like, I don't know, like I didn't know a huge amount about you guys like before you reached out. And then I think I mentioned before, someone saw it and I had like 5 guys message me being like, oh, that's so cool. So then I'm like looking at you guys, I can like see on your socials how you're like trying a bunch of different content, and you're trying like meme content and like educational content, and, like entertaining stuff. And it's like, I think content's just the absolute name of the game right now. And I think whether or not you're trying to be an influencer or a creator, or you're a brand with a product, or even if you're not a brand with a product, I think there's so much value in building an audience in this day and age, because it just, if you're able to create content that's actually providing value to people, then, and value can be different things. It might be literally educational value or entertainment value, or it's teaching people something, then there's just so much value in that. And even I look on Twitter these days, and there are all these like almost finance influencers now, and they're tweeting about like their Bitcoin stock investing advice, or they're tweeting about how they, did this, or the steps that they grew to growing their company, or that sort of thing. And they've got these super engaged growing audiences, and that's not what a traditional like influencer or what a traditional like CEO would be doing, but they are doing that now. And I think about that, and it's like, if you're doing that, then the next time you need help, or you want to seek out advice, or you want to form a relationship with someone, you've got an inbuilt audience of people that are engaged in that. And I think definitely around the story of building businesses and that sort of thing, there are so many businesses in the world right now. And, there are so many merch companies in the world right now. It's like, why are people going to care about what you guys are doing versus anyone else? And I think like they're going to care about it because they're invested in your personality, and they're invested in like following along with the journey of what you're doing, and seeing you guys start out, and seeing you try these different things and sign new people and build a new podcast, and they care about it, and they feel like they're on the journey with you, and therefore they feel like they're part of the story in some way. And so you've
literally just explained our marketing tactic for the last 2-3 years. It's sort of built off the back of Gary Vee though, but we sort of document in a few different ways. And initially we wanted to just be like value-based or entertainment-based. And as you start to grow, and you'd understand this as well, your interests sort of start to change as well.
Totally.
And building a business is fun, but it's fucking hard at the same time.
Yeah.
And people don't really realize that. So probably
I think people used to see social media as this place where everyone's super polished, it's all pretty Instagram filters and airbrushed, and no one's showing like the gritty realness of like whatever they're actually doing. And I think people have really trended away from that. I think people used to see Instagram as like Instagram girls and like, with insane bodies and like,
do you know what they do?
Perfect lives and that sort of thing. I think people don't want to see that anymore. Like people want to see the real stuff that they can actually relate to.
It's funny because everyone is sort of fitness influencers, but what they do, they actually train up and then they just cruise around for a couple of days taking photos in all different outfits and just drip feeding. I was like, what? That's smart.
Yeah,
but
it's not real. Like the people that I follow on Instagram that I'm most excited about are the ones that are like, they're doing something, or they're and I want to follow along with it, and I care about all the different aspects of their life, and like seeing what their day-to-day routine looks like and that sort of thing. And then, yeah.
Speaking of, what does your day-to-day routine look like?
Oh my gosh.
Are you a morning person?
I am a morning person.
Me
yes.
too.
Yes. I live near the beaches, which I love.
Whereabouts?
I'm in Clovelly at the moment, but I'm looking for a place in Bondi.
Oh, I live in Bondi.
Oh, nice.
Come over.
Well,
come to the good side.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I don't know. I wake up pretty early, like 6:30. Try to like go for a walk, get a coffee, go for a swim. I don't know. I love that. Like I love that lifestyle. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like balanced and like I'm making the most of the day. And then I head into the office like 8:30, 9. And then a lot of the day is like meetings now.
Do you enjoy that? Or
it's
draining?
really interesting. It's like it's been a shift in my role as the company's grown. A couple of years ago, or even like a year and a half ago, we had like 5 or 6 staff, and so much of my role was just focused on like the actual doing of the job. It was like selling and negotiating and talking to talent all the time and that sort of thing. And as the company has grown and we're able to actually offer more to the talent, I'm not able to spend 85% of my time doing that anymore. And even though rationally I realize that's a good thing and like delegation's really important and the company wouldn't be able to grow if I was trying to do everything myself, like sometimes I actually, I do miss doing that. I really like doing that work. But I try to spend more of my time now thinking about how I can like delegate that to the rest of the team and help them learn and then be able to focus on the bigger projects and how we can provide value to our big talent.
Is it hard, like managing that talent? Are they like an emotional bunch or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different job because it's not like a normal job where people come in and it's like, oh, this is my work life and then this is my home life. It's like everything is blended together. Everyone's so personally invested in what they're doing, which I love. And me too. Like I think in the past, I've probably had a tendency to take things too personally with work and I care about it so much. I'm so emotionally invested in what I do. And in many ways, people are just like, oh, I've had some advice being like, oh, you should, emotionally remove yourself from the work. Like it's not about you, blah, blah, blah. And I definitely see the value in that. I also love that I'm like emotionally invested in what I do. I wouldn't want to not be emotionally invested in what I'm doing. And I like that I care about it, even though that's sometimes like tough and great and whatever. But I think it's just a developing like maturity around the role. And now I have a little bit more perspective on, okay, like this is just work. It's not personal but still having the level of care.
Last question. What's the dream for, or what's the future for Click Management?
It's a big question.
Do you have an end goal? Do you all that sort of stuff, or are you just sort of happy to go with it?
It's really interesting. And a couple months ago, I was going through my Google Drive and I found Click's like 5-year plan from 3 years ago. And we had our like 1-year goals, our 3-year goals and our 5-year goals. And the company that I'm running today looks absolutely nothing like the company that was in the goal sheet from 3 years ago. And I love it. Like it's worked out 100 times better in every way. I think it's difficult to create like a 5-year plan in the industry that we're in. It's moving so rapidly. And sometimes I think if I'd been so focused on like the end goal, I would have missed out on so many amazing opportunities that we've had on the peripheral that have popped up. And so in many ways, I think like a key to our success has been being open to new opportunities and being able to move quickly and grab onto things as we see them. And I've loved that. So right now, because we're in such a rapidly moving industry, things are moving really fast. I try to just think about maximizing every opportunity that we have in front of us, maximizing the value that I'm able to provide for the talent and making sure that I'm keeping on the ball and not getting complacent and thinking about like what are all the next opportunities that are available.
You're going to be a big success. I can just see it. So I just want to thank you for jumping on and giving me your time. More success.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. See you later.